Hi guys, the Tories have nothing, no new ideas, no plans, not a single thing that they can present as a reason for voters to back them. Instead, they're against stuff. Now, a non-violent incident is a tool used by the police to monitor situations, to then deem it necessary to take further action. They're not crimes, but they can be seen as a precursor to them. Now, as more and more people are active on social media, it can be useful for the police to monitor that so that they can actually see crimes manifest beforehand and prepare to deal with them. Chris Philp, a former Tory minister, knows this, but pretended not to when he appeared on Sky News.
I think the only time the police should be recording non-criminal activity is if it is an immediate, or likely to be, an immediate precursor to real criminality, as you'd expect with any criminal offence or potential criminal offence. But they should not be policing Twitter. They're not the thought police. This has gone on for too long, and it's simply got to stop.
Oh my goodness. Okay. What we're talking about here is about the police monitoring a situation. In the past, the police would have a liaison with the community. They would meet with members of the community and say, okay, what are the sort of issues that are facing your community? Should we have more bobbies on the beat? Should we engage more with the community? Should we have a more hands-off approach? These are things that the police used to do. But now there are less and less resources provided to the police. His party cut the number of police officers. They reduced the amount of funding going into communities. So you saw greater problems related to crime. Now, as a lot of people are active on social media, it makes sense for the police to monitor that. We saw the Farage riots. We saw the consequences of that. Chris Philp would prefer that the police were not monitoring the situation, it seems. The police need to have a hand on things. They need to understand what's happening in different communities, what's happening in different parts of the country, so that they can monitor it and then respond to it correctly. It's not a perfect tool. It's not an actual science, but it's a tool that they can use in order to avoid serious situations getting out of control.
So obviously you're trying to achieve this change by proposing a change to a current government bill that's in the process of the crime and policing bill. But the thing you're trying to change has evolved over the last decade or so. I guess you'd have to acknowledge through a lack of legislation of this ilk from yourselves in government.
Well, it's evolved over 25 years. It was first introduced in the early 2000s during the time of the Blair government, not on a legal footing. It was done in police guidance, essentially. Now, we tried about 2 years ago in government to tighten this up via a previous bit of legislation, but that essentially didn't work. So we need to go further and just abolish these things entirely. And that is the proposal that we're now making. We'll put it as an amendment to the bill now going through Parliament. We'll put it to a vote and we'll find out if Labour are really on the side of common sense, if they're really on the side of making sure the police concentrate on real crime, not policing Twitter. We'll put it to a vote.
They're not policing Twitter. He's being extremely dishonest here. But then, this is Chris Philp we're talking about. What you want to do is you want to remove the police's ability to monitor things before they get out of hand. Can you imagine a situation like that happened last year, where an incident happens, and you want the police to know, okay, how are people going to react to that? Who is whipping up anger in regards to that incident? Where is it happening? Who are the ringleaders? What are they saying to people? What sort of hate are they directing at different communities? Wouldn't you want the police to know these things, as opposed to just, okay, there's a riot taking place, it was building up over a few hours, but we were not allowed to monitor the situation. Now it's got out of hand. Now we have to bring in extra resources to respond to it because we were not allowed to monitor it in the first place.
We'll be voting for it on the Conservative side. We'll see what Labour do. But they've actually already come out just this morning saying they're not going to support it. So we can see that Labour are not on the side of common sense here.
Not on the side of common sense. You were in power for 14 years. You decided what we're going to do is we're going to run the police service into the ground. We don't have enough bobbies on the beat. We don't have enough police officers working with communities. So instead, a lot of them have to monitor social media. They have to work in the... You're talking... Oh, my goodness.
I guess maybe you can argue you're on the side of common sense now, but you failed to act on it for 14 years, as you said, if it started in the early 2000s.
Yeah, we did legislate about 2 years ago, but that didn't work, speaking honestly, and that's why we now need to go further. I'm just being very honest about that.
You had a majority 2 years ago.
No, which is good to hear. Let's touch on the Supreme Court decision last week.
Look, the Conservatives at the moment are looking and saying, okay, we can't come up with any policies. We can't come up with any ideas because, well, for one part, we have so much baggage from the last 14 years. But on the other hand, we're afraid to present a policy now because by the time the election comes around, it will be obsolete. So instead, their approach is, well, let's attack the government. We're not going to attack the government on something reasonable. We're just going to throw stuff against the wall, hoping that it will work. And I had hoped that Kemi Badenoch would be better, but she's proven herself just to be the same as the others. No ideas, just throw stuff against the wall, hope that something sticks, engage in this sort of ridiculous culture war crap, and not present any real alternative. And the problem is that somebody will fill that gap. And who's filling that gap? Reform UK are. So Reform UK now, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the media, is the real alternative to the Labour Party. That should not be the case. But because the Conservatives are so useless, they have allowed that to happen.